Things are a bit slow at the 9 to 5. You could do with a bit more work. Whether you want to learn how to pick up new freelance clients for money,
Gotcha.
or if you just need something to occupy your time when you get home. I'm going to help you out in this video. Stay tuned. Hey, it's Zaire from Love Circular. Welcome to our entry-level podcast where I help 1 million of you lot get your first jobs in tech or design. Doesn't really matter what we call it, but I'm going to help you get a job. Today, I'm going to give you a step-by-step play that I used myself as a UX designer to get some clients when I didn't have any real-world experience. The first thing I want to give to you is content. It's all about your content. If you can post daily content, you are going somewhere in this market, especially in today's economy where so many designers are online and it's hard to fight above the noise. You want to pick a platform where you can share your work and interact with other people who may be able to get you reshares, reposts, or just know you for being an awesome designer. Now, in my background or my story, I actually chose Twitter. Twitter was really easy for me because I used to love to talk shit, if I'm completely honest, and it was just fun. These days, there's a lot of designers on Twitter, but that's also an amazing thing because it gives you a lot of ways you can be inspired and find new ideas to create. The reason why I say to work on one platform is simply because it's much easier to not context switch and deliver to one platform, as well as that keep all your messages relating to one thing within that same platform. Of course, once you do have some traffic and once you do feel a bit more comfortable about sharing your work, share it to the other platforms bit by bit. Figure out if you want to go down the LinkedIn route, figure out if you want to go down Instagram, if you want to go down TikTok, you name it. There's going to be a platform and there are many ways to get work via these methods. The second thing about posting daily is figuring out what content you want to post. When I first started, I used to post unsolicited unsolicited redesigns of other brands and companies that I liked, though I just tried to work for them essentially for free. One of the cool things about doing something like this was it quickly made me realize the difference between myself and what a professional designer for some of these companies looked like. It was a steep learning curve, but I made it through, of course. I got clients. It didn't matter in the end. These days, when it comes to creating content, you can do your UI concepts. Amazing. That's fine. But if you want to go a step beyond, I'd always recommend creating something that maybe like viral, add humor to your post, or add something that's very fun. A popular thing that I'm seeing at the moment from some designers who are doing this effectively are some people are creating like shit posts. They're creating fake concepts that look real just to get a reaction. By doing something like it, you put yourself in a new realm of design. You're not creating a feature because you think it will be better. You're creating something to provoke a reaction from others. If you're provoking reactions from other people, they're more likely to share it, respond, engage with that post, and guess what? Algorithms love it. If algorithms love it, that means that you're in a cool position to get reshares and exposure. The job of posting daily is really figuring out cool ways to get new exposure and other people to see you. As a designer, we need people to see us, especially if we're doing stuff on a daily basis. We need them to know that we're capable of delivering really high quality work, whether it's from a visual standpoint, whether it's from a UX standpoint, whether it's just from your ability to implement something funny or fun on a product. Like, it works. I think posting unsolicited redesigns are one option. Another option that I would recommend or even consider could be tutorial content. Similar to how I sometimes create tutorial content, or I have done in the past for people who wanted to get in design. Create that. Why not? Especially if you are in a position where other people believe you're a really cool designer. Creating tutorials is an amazing way to show other people that you're capable. What you're really doing is you're validating your ability to create the outcome that somebody else might want. I also think recording and sharing your work in progress is an option that it's not really utilized very often, but it doesn't hurt. And sometimes when we share work in progress, we can ask our audience, or we can ask the audience that we're trying to build, or even the community that you might be a part of, for feedback. These people feedback to you, you interact with them. Before you know it, you're in a position where between yourselves, you've built up a rapport and they now know you as a person. As you can imagine, with all of what I've suggested so far from a daily posting standpoint, you're just trying to get eyeballs to be consistent and people to associate you with the ability of, with being a designer or whatever creative you are for that matter. I think this is an underrated area. that a lot of people don't tackle, but you can talk about your journey, talk about some of the things that you're working on improving on, talk about what you're doing at the moment to develop as a designer, talk about your ideas. Ideas aren't precious, they're very plentiful. A lot of people have them, and it's not so much about your ideas, it's the execution. Don't be precious about them, talk about them. You never know. Someone else might say, look, I'd like to build something like this within our project. Now you've got an opportunity. Plus, it also shows that you are a person outside of being just a designer. Personality always helps when it comes to others taking to you and seeing you outside of just the pixels that you can push on screen. It puts you in a position where they might be able to relate to you and they might want to give you a chance. I know that when it comes to hiring designers for Live Circular, especially like instructors, we've often reached out to people that post content and they even talked about their journey or they talked about what they do, simply because it felt like it was a more personal approach for design. From a designer standpoint, you're not just, no, you're not just images, you are something more than that. And we want to be around people at the end of the day. I certainly recommend keeping the followers that you build in the loop with when it comes to your journey. I've given you some ideas around posting daily content. You might ask, does it really work? Yes, is the short answer. The reason why it works is compounding. Now, if you're not familiar with the laws of compounding, it is essentially, it follows this. If you do something every day or you do something consistently over a prolonged period of time, chances are you will be much further and much more experienced and the rewards are going to be more plentiful. Why? Because over time, you accrue new people in your network, you accrue new finances, new experiences, and you get better at what you do. If you're going to do something like this and you say dedicate a year to it, before you know it, you're going to push yourself because you're going to want to improve. You've also built a catalog of content. So whenever someone sees your profile or they go to your page or wherever you are posting, they're going to see that you have been serious about this particular thing and they're willing to take a shot at you, to take a shot on you. I don't know if English is my strong suit, but you get my point. So you could do something like that. If it wasn't for my hard work earlier on and my consistent work throughout the previous years, when I launched Love Circular, I might have had a harder time finding new people to teach for free at that time, or even just people to teach and them to trust in my abilities. It works, I promise. I'd also recommend this, right? Instead of setting up a separate profile, I see this happen quite a bit. Sometimes it's effective, but I think most of you, if you're early in your career, just use the profile that you have. Yeah, you're going to be slightly vulnerable when it comes to putting your work out there. But at the same time, you've already built up somewhat of a following. And at the end of the day, treat social media as a business platform. If you want a personal profile, fair enough, you could do that. But I'd always suggest treat it like it's a tool for networking and trying to find other people that will like what you do. As well as that, your friends can often be really good support systems as well from a reposting standpoint or just even an ideas or feedback standpoint. The more they see you post, the more they're likely to have your name in their mind when somebody asks them if they know somebody that can do a design job, for instance. Happens. I promise you, it's one of the easiest things you could do. Now, the problem with segmenting and potentially like creating a new profile like just for design, each people might not know that you do that thing. And if you don't reshare that and build up the following over there, it's not really going to go anywhere. I see it all the time. It happens. That's why I'd always just consolidate and use your personal profile as part of a business profile. That way you can mix up your personality, as mentioned before, it's an advantage, with the fact that you have ability to do work. But that also helps you post more daily content. You don't always have to post just design content. It makes sense to post some of your personal life or things that could relate to who you are and what you're trying to achieve in this world. We know that we need to post daily content and we know why it works. The how is what we're going to get to next. Here's how you do it. I would strongly recommend setting constraints, whether that's each day you spend an hour and a half coming up with a concept and executing on it, or even less time if you're a fast designer, or potentially think about it from a stockpiling method. You might be able to put 5 hours on the weekend into multiple different pieces of work. By doing so, you create a arsenal of work that you can post throughout the week. Even if you were to schedule it, it doesn't really matter how you schedule it, but gamify the experience. Try and see how you can figure out a way to create content in abundance or create content consistently over a prolonged period of time. Figure out a method that works for you. Not everyone's going to be the same. For me, I like doing a bit of it each day. I'm not really good at doing things in blocks because ADHD brain and all that. But you get my gist. I would always suggest gamifying it just so you don't end up getting bored, as well as that it's a challenge at that point. It makes it that bit more fun. On top of that, I would say use platforms like ChatGPT to generate wacky ideas, generate briefs. You don't always have to come up with your design from scratch. Like personally, I don't feel like I'm the most creative designer. So whenever I land on, say, a Figma page and I just see that white page, it's like, oh man, what am I going to do? I use Daily Y, for instance, for ideas. If you're not familiar with Daily Y, I think it's dailyy.co, and they generate briefs for the 100-day UI challenge. Once you're in the habit of developing content quite consistently and doing it frequently, it just gets easier to post on a daily basis. As well as that, if you are a person that likes to be highly organized, you can even schedule your content. You can use platforms to schedule your content like Later, Hootsuite. There are other platforms that can do this sort of stuff. Schedule your content in advance if you want to do that. Me, I do on the day at the moment, but I should probably take my own advice and schedule it. I just don't seem to be as organized on that matter. But some of yous are, and that plays to your strengths. I'd certainly recommend it. Now, it's great that we can post daily, but I think we can go a step further. And I've done it myself, and I've received great results from a network standpoint, a financial standpoint. I'm learning new skills and experiencing how to market and sell myself as a person. This is where I'll tell you you should do daily outreach. What do I mean by outreach? I mean contacting people that you think are interested in your type of services and trying to make some sort of create some rapport, building a network, and hopefully getting to a point where they can refer yourself or potentially think of yourself whenever design work comes up. So what did I do when it comes to daily outreach? When I used to post on Twitter, what would happen is people might like my post, they might reshare my post, or they might reply. I would literally follow these people or send them a DM if I could without following them. And I would say, hey, I would reach out to them and say, hey, thanks for sharing my content. Thanks for engaging with it. Is there a specific thing that you liked about it? Also, I appreciate you showing some love. Now, usually they would reply and say, oh yeah, I thought it was really cool. I'm not a designer or whatnot, but I thought it was really cool. Once you have that interaction, naturally, you've already built something there. In future, they might be more willing to reshare your content simply because they think you're a cool person. But also, they might even tell you, look, I've been thinking about getting into design, or I'm currently looking out for some designers that I could hire for. These are real life scenarios that I've experienced myself, and they've come with opportunities off the back. I'd set a goal where if you post content, literally try and reach out to these people on a daily basis. Anyone that's engaged, maybe reach out to them the same day or the next day, and keep doing this over and over again. The law of compounding will work in your favor when it comes to this sort of stuff, because you will essentially have more people that know who you are, and you've also made an effort to touch base with them and create some sort of extra layer of contact with that person. They no longer just see you as the person who posts work. They now see you as a person who might be cool, and you might be able to have a cool conversation in the direct messages or DMs. Who says direct messages? About design or just who you are or who they are, and you never know where that could take you. Strongly recommend. Or whenever a company engage with my posts, I'll go on LinkedIn and find the people that work for that company, and I'd reach out to them and say, hey, I did this thing. I don't know if your company is currently looking for any freelancers, but I'm in the market if you ever need extra pair of hands. Also, if your work has a lot of engagement and and a lot of people are gravitating to it, it's usually a good signal for the company that could want to hire you, or the company that you're reaching out, that you're a capable person and you're validated as a cool designer, I guess, whatever that means. But it works. I used to do this quite a bit. It's brought up potential opportunities with Foot Asylum in the past. It's brought up opportunities with BMW. It's brought up opportunities with a few other, even just smaller companies that I knew people who happened to know the decision maker, and they've referred me through something like that. So yes, reach out to the people that work at these companies. Sometimes they're looking for some fresh ideas, and you might just be the person that can deliver that. Lastly, in terms of outreach, I'd say interact with people who may be in a similar field. It could be developers. If a developer engages with your work, or you might like a developer's work, it could be worth reaching out and saying, if you ever need any help when it comes to design, I'm certainly around and I'm available. One of the things that will happen here is developers usually need designers just to execute an effective piece of work, similarly to how we might need them to build the thing that we can design. So having those relationships isn't a bad idea, and it will never, well, I can't say never, but it will usually steer you in a great place or a path to new opportunities. I certainly would recommend something like that. To recap, here are the methods that I went over in this video. 1, I would post daily content, and I would do so on one platform specifically to begin with. Eventually, I'll improve and branch out to other platforms. The next bit, what type of content? You can post daily UIs, you can post unsolicited redesigns, you can post anything. You could post work in progress, you can post speed art, you could post things about your journey as a designer, for instance. Whatever it is, post it, get it out there. People need to see you, and need to see you very often for being an amazing designer. The third step, does it work? Yes, it works, simply because compounding is a thing. Other people keep seeing you consistently. They will want to reach out to you whenever they think of a designer. Why? Because you're amazing and you're on their mind and you constantly post. So you must be serious about this thing. On top of that, how do you do it? You gamify your experience when it comes to creating content, or you get really organized and consistently do it over a prolonged period of time. You can schedule a post to go out automatically, or you can manually do it. Doesn't really matter as long as the posts go out. It's great that you can do the daily content, but there's an extra bit which usually gets you many more opportunities because you're going above and beyond here, and this outreach bit. The second stage, outreach. You're going to want to outreach daily. Outreach with people that interact with your content, whether they liked it, reposted it, commented on it, doesn't matter. Reach out to these people. Let them know that you appreciate them engaging with your post, and ask them if they have any thoughts. Open up conversation. Be a person. So many opportunities can come from just being a person, and whether that's a cool person or whatever, but other people will want to talk, and usually you'll be able to get a cool conversation going. Yeah, I've explained all of the techniques that I actually undertook to get my work. This was, I did this at like 19 years old, 20 years old when I dropped out of uni the first time round. And it allowed me to go from no income as a designer to making £10,000 plus off certain contracts. And it's a lot of money, but it's, these are real opportunities that are available. I think in this market, you're able to do something like this and get so many more contracts and so many more freelance clients simply because the reach is phenomenal these days. But I would certainly recommend doing it and putting some time into building your online profile, as you'll be able to get contract opportunities, you'll be able to get freelance opportunities, you'll be able to get paid. And if you're going to freelance, that's what you want to do at the end of the day. You want to get paid as a designer. And in my experience, it's very easy as long as you follow these steps. Yeah. Thanks for listening. That's today's episode. Peace.